While we're here to honor Josh Mostert for attaining Scout's highest rank, the Eagle Scout Award. This is a great moment worthy of celebration, and we're going to begin now. But before I start, I just want to say one thing. I have two son-in-laws. One's Josh and one's Justin. And I always confuse them. I always call them by each other's names. So if that happens here, I apologize ahead of time. Okay, now we're going to begin. I'd like to recognize a few special people here. First, you've seen Josh's father and Scoutmaster, and now some other key leaders. Josh's mother, Ann Mostert, right there. His sister, West Point class of 17 cadet, Elizabeth. Our committee chair over here, Mrs. Matthews. Unit Commissioner, Mr. Burton. And special guest, I guess, Kevin Kennedy, a former council vice president. Instilled within him something that we call the spirit of scouting. This lighted candle represents that spirit, because the spirit of scouting embodies the fine principles of the Scout oath and law. It becomes a shining beacon of inspiration. Alone, this light may be feeble, but when multiplied by more than 3.5 million boys in scouting, it can become very powerful. After a boy enters scouting, the Scout law that he has promised to obey is put into effect as the occasions may demand. And so, one by one, using the flame from the spirit of scouting, we light the symbols that stand for the parts of the law. There are 12 parts, all important and all meaningful. Each is an important foundation stone in the building of strong character. The spirit of scouting, as symbolized by these blazing candles before you. May the Eagle badge that you are about to receive be symbolic of the spirit of scouting. Our most hearty congratulations. It's now time for the highest part of the program, the presentation of the Eagle Scout Award. I'd like to ask Josh's Eagle Scoutmaster, Mr. Mike Ritchie, to come forward to make this appropriate presentation.
So this part, I was privileged to be asked to do Scoutmaster, even though I think Justin is the Scoutmaster. To kind of do a review of Josh. It's kind of like roasting Josh. and unfortunately, I'm too old to remember all the good stories, but I kind of remember some. The first thing I remember was this young child, not a child anymore, about this big, coming to his first camping trip. And it was down out in the back of St. Mary's, typical welcome camping trip. And this was just a story that I remember the most. He was making hot dogs, and he had one on his plate, and the hot dog fell. And you could see the "what do I do now" thing, you know, because he knew that you shouldn't really eat the food that's on the ground. And a wise, sage Scoutmaster, Mr. Gabriel, came by and said, "Pick it up, wash it up, eat it. Mom's not here." And don't tell Mom. Now, from what I understand of this story, to show his character, what did you do? You went home and told Mom. But over the years, you know, so that he became a tenderfoot, around second class, and I got to be the privileged one to most of, not all, but most of his Scoutmaster conferences for some reason, maybe because we're at Yago or whatever. And each time I was very impressed with his knowledge and his desire to go ahead. But also his, how should I put it? You know, he blended things really well. Like, he was into gymnastics, very much so during the early years, and I think even later. And one of the things that was done at camp, Scout camp, was lashed a pole across the two trees so they could do pull-up testing for tenderfoot. Not Josh. What did you do?
Some sort of gymnastics.
Yeah, he was doing gymnastics. And you really trusted the person who put those knots on. Yes, he did. So, you know, he rose through the ranks, and he had some experiences both at camp and various places. Something about a raccoon in his tent. We just sent him back there. Figured the raccoon would leave eventually. He'd leave, one or the other. And, but it continued on. And one of the things I tried with Josh, it was the first time when he became, I think, a star at Yahoo. You have to go through a Scoutmaster conference. And I wanted to make sure he knew his stuff. So I went and created the most tedious Scoutmaster conference with scenarios of him being out in the woods with 3 people and somebody falling off and getting hurt and what do you do and all that. And he went through the entire thing. I figured he'd never ask me to do another one of his Didn't work. Didn't work. So Life Scout, same thing came. So now what do I do now? We can't top that. Well, we tried. But again, he came through. He knew everything. His character showed up throughout his board. And then Eagle came. And I watched him do his Eagle project. The tenacity he had to, and overcoming the fact that he had an Eagle project planned. Everything was there, ready to go, and the place where he was doing it kind of changed. So he had to go back and start all over again. But he did it, he got it done, and I think it's being used relatively. Now, I was going to open it up to everybody to roast you and to come up with stories, but I think I'll just leave it at that.
Too many stories.
Not too many, there's not too many. But Josh has shown his character, his leadership, his dedication throughout the entire time. And it's really nice to see him up here as a candidate for Eagle. So given that, I get the honor to do an Eagle charge. Now, take this charge to heart, because this is what it's like, you know, you're now an Eagle, right? So everyone's going to look up to you. And so becoming Eagle Scout is a great accomplishment. Being an Eagle Scout is a great responsibility. As an Eagle, the Scout War should take on a new meaning to you. The motto and slogan take on new urgency. As an Eagle Scout, your first obligation is to live with honor. I have no doubt that he's going to do this. You're a mocked man. You're a leader. For good or ill, people will follow you, the example you set. Give up anything before you give up your reputation and good name. As Shakespeare said, mine honor is my life, both grow in one. Take honor from me and my life is done. Let the white of the Eagle badge remind you of honor. Your second obligation as an Eagle Scout is to be loyal. As a follower, you promise to be loyal to those above you. That's another one of those things that I'm sure it's not going to be a problem. Now, as a leader, you must also be loyal to those who below you, treating them as you would want to be treated. You must also be loyal to your ideals, not letting others sway you from your course. Let the blue of the Eagle badge remind you of loyalty. Your third obligation as an Eagle Scout is to be courageous. Stepping into a new role as a leader, you will face many challenges and obstacles. A ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are supposed to do. You must have the courage to do what is right, no matter what other people do or say. Let the red of the Eagle badge remind you of courage. Your fourth obligation is to serve others, for the leader is above all a servant. Let the practice of daily good lead to a lifetime of service, and only in giving of yourself do you give anything of value. Just as it always has, let the scroll of your badge remind you of service. And the final obligation as an Eagle Scout is to have vision. As a leader, you must now blaze your own trail. Just as the bold eagle soaring above the ground can look so far into distance, you too must look far into the distance. Many people will follow you. Only with the vision will you lead them in the right direction. Let the silver eagle hanging from your badge remind you of vision. And then these are the obligations as an Eagle Scout: honor, loyalty, courage, service, and vision. By meeting these obligations, you can lead your troop, your community, and your nation toward a better tomorrow. And now, I believe the senior Eagle present will lead us in the Eagle oath.
Thank you. I'd like to have all Eagle Scouts in the audience join us at the podium, please. It's a pleasure for me to come back here because back in the 70s, I was one of the assistant scoutmasters with Troop 82. And I try to come back as many times as I can. I will now administer the Eagle Oath. And if the Eagle Scouts present could follow after us, and Joshua, you will be doing this for the first time. So when we talk about affirming, you will affirm for the first time, and the rest of us will reaffirm. Everybody could raise their right hand, please. I, and state your name, I, Carlton Johnson. Repeat after me, please. I affirm my allegiance.
I affirm my allegiance
to the three promises of the Scout Oath.
to the three promises of Scout Oath.
I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself.
I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself
The obligations and responsibilities of an Eagle Scout.
the
obligations and responsibilities of an Eagle Scout. On my honor, I will do my best.
On my honor, I will do my best
to make my training an example.
to make my training an example
Of my status and influence.
of my status and influence.
Count strongly for better scouting.
Count strongly for better scouting
And for better citizenship in my troop.
and for better citizenship in my troop,
In my community.
in my community,
And in my contacts with other people.
and in my contacts with other people.
To this, I pledge my sacred honor.
To this I pledge my sacred honor.
Two. Congratulations again. And the Eagle Scouts can be seated. Thank you.
Getting nervous yet? Okay. So here is the moment of truth. So if I can have Teresa's Mostert. And Josh. And is Libby going to come? So we're going to dub.
Dub.
We're going to dub them. So, you ready for this? You sure? Okay. Congratulations, Josh. Power vested in me by the Boy Scouts of America, Narragansett County, Southeast Region, in Troop 82, I dub you an Eagle Scout. I was thinking Mom should. Yep. Be honest? Looks good. So, Josh, your parents have undoubtedly been your primary source of help and strength. No one will ever know the unnumbered acts of self-sacrifice for your mother. If, like your mother, I'd like you to pin your mother, pin your mother on the... In recognition of your mother's dedication, please present her with the Eagle pin, your mother's pin.
Kiss her, kiss.
So your father has been a source of much advice and guidance through your Eagle Trail. I'd like you to present, oh, actually, no, sorry. Not yet. Yeah. Your father has been a source of much advice and guidance along the Eagle Trail. So I'd like him to present an age and special Eagle badge to you.
Well, this was the Eagle badge that I wore back when I was an Eagle Scout, and it even has a special history to it there. The actual Eagle Scout badge of 1973 was ridiculous in the way it looked, and I complained about that. My unit leader was an Eagle Scout himself from many years before 1973 and gave me one of his Eagle patches. So this is the one that I wore for the 2 years that I was a youth. And so Joshua, wear it with honor and with pride. Congratulations.
When you turn, please present your dad.
Where do you want this?
I don't know. Okay, let's go with the pocket. They'll throw you out of the Navy for that.
Only if they catch you. Don't understand this one.
Yeah. Thanks, son.
So to recognize your accomplishment, your sister will present you with your Eagle Scout certificate and Eagle Scout card.
Absolutely.
Return, please present your Eagle Scout coin. So now it gives me great pleasure to present you Troop 82 Eagle Scout number 125, our newest Eagle Scout, Joshua Mostert.
I think we have so many Eagles in the audience and so many Eagle parents. You know how wonderful a day that this is for Ann and myself. And obviously, we've got pins and got the thanks of our son. But we would not be here without many, many, many of you in the audience. My gosh, Carlton setting it up many years ago for us. Carlton Johnson, the Council Executive Board. Kevin Kennedy, one of Joshua's many Scoutmasters who took him through White Stag. If you noticed on your invitation, there was a White Stag picture on there with the White Stag troops he'd been a part of. Played a huge part in his life, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that out right here. But Rick, his high school project coach, Mike's done more Scoutmaster conferences than he has admitted to here. We're one of the few troops that chooses to not have a parent do their own youth Scoutmaster conference. And so Mike, Joshua had the benefit of that rule and got Mr. Ritchie. I'd be remiss if I didn't see Mike Russo in the back, committee chair. He led the band of merry men that elected me, and here we are today, Mike, thank you. And families, thank you for your continuing trust. It's a wonderful job. And thanks for raising such a fine son, and thanks for running the family the way you do. And thank all of you for coming and for being such a big part of our lives. Thank you very much.
Well, first off, I'd like to give all my thank yous, especially to everyone here for coming and supporting me on this day. I'd also like to give special thank yous to all my family, my friends who have supported me throughout my entire scouting journey, even when there's parts where I didn't want to do, especially after the raccoon in my tent, and I wanted to just go home at that moment. Mr. Ritchie just told me to go back to bed and get over it. So once again, thanks to everybody, and which is going to bring me to a very important part of the ceremony, at least to me, is my mentor pins. Now, some people, they hand out one mentor pin, but I had a few people that have actually really helped me out along the way and have acted as mentors to me, so I have 3. And so, start off the first one. I'd like to give to Mr. Obara for being my Eagle coach and encouraging me and bugging me to get through my Eagle Scout project even when I didn't even want to do it and just wanted to avoid it at all costs. The next mentor pin is to the guy who has tested me and make sure I've earned every last bit of my my rank in all those things along the way, which will be Mr. Ritchie. He's been all sort of kind of my personal scoutmaster throughout this entire experience, and even though I had Mr. Roberts do my first couple of Scoutmaster conferences, I had Mr. Ritchie from then on, so we stuck with the tradition all the way up until today, so I'd like to hand him my second mentor pin. And lastly, to the one guy who's unconditionally supported me throughout my entire scouting journey, whether I've been, either if I was being a pain or not, any of those things, who's also supported me outside of Scouts and with everything that I do, and has been a constant help and just always been there for me, my dad. So those are my mentors and how they've helped me tremendously throughout scouting, and are some of the reasons why I'm standing here today. And the next thing I'd like to get to in my Eagle response is the Bart Simpson slide, which I have over here. It's a nifty thing. It's kind of turned into a troop heirloom over the years. Mr. O'Bara actually made it a long time ago, and what it symbolizes, especially to me, is not only Scouts for the purpose of learning things and experiencing things. Scouts are supposed to be fun, and so instead of just using a normal neckerchief slide, even when I was younger, and Scouts before me have used Bart Simpson, who has a hole in the back of his head, to use a neckerchief slide, and he symbolizes Scouts as fun. It was given to me by Andrew, and it's been passed down through all this time, and I'd like to give it to a Scout who maybe one of the older Scouts now, but I helped him as a kid, watched him enjoy the fun of scoutings, and really developed into one of the prime leaders of the troop. So, James Hook. Don't lose it. So the next part of my response is I'd like to get and say what Scouts has done for me. It's done just a tremendous amount for me, and it's included all these things, such as it's given me a lot of fun in scoutings. I mean, I can remember almost all of my scouting events with all the fun I've had on them and the fun times I've had in the troop, and trying to make sure, even at the cost of getting in trouble, that I had a fun time in scouting, whether it was climbing trees or going places I shouldn't. I always had fun with it. And then scouting has also given me lots of confidence. I mean, the confidence to stand up and speak, confidence to lead others. Through scouting and NYLT and White Stag, it's really given me the confidence to be the guy I am today. It's also given me the numerous scout skills there is, from lashings to leadership to everything there is. So Scouts also given me skills. It's also given me morals that have been outlined by the Scout Oath and Law, which have been and will be my internal compass to guide me through the future of morals and the things that I do. And the last thing that Scouts has done for me, which I've been really grateful for, is just preparing me for my future, whether it's off in the military or off being some desk job wherever I may end up. Scouts has prepared me for all of it. And at White Stag and NYLT, one of the main things we teach is be, no, do. It's our slogan, and kind of all those things we revert back to is be, no, do. And so Scouts has kind of given me my own personal be, no, do, which is be the best as I can, a model of the Scout Oath and Law in my everyday life. Know the things that are expected from me and do my best to get them done. And do my best to use what I know and have learned from Scouts to live as the person I should for the rest of my life. So that has been my personal be, no, do. And so, once again, thanks to everyone for coming here. That's the end of my Eagle response.
To get through. And it's book work, and it's putting it into practice, whether it's learning from leadership or skills or whatever. And that's a very hard thing to do. And that's why it's such a small percentage make Eagle. But one of the things that I always found about Josh was he did that. At the same time, it's, you know, he didn't just concentrate on scouts and just do that. He did that, gymnastics, track, band, and that thing called school, whatever that is. So the ability to multitask through all of those and to keep that dedication and tenacity up is a tribute to you. And you should keep that, and it's going to, like you said, the skills that you had during your scouting will help you throughout your life. The ability to do that through all the things that you've done, you'll find invaluable as you go through. And for other scouts, younger scouts here, hopefully you see the same thing. It's not just that you have to put your mind to it in scouts, but you also have to remember there's other things in life. And as you said it, and I kind of, when you said it, it rang a bell. We used to have a get-together, junior leader training, and they would say, what do you want to do with the scout troop? What do you want to do different this year? And I remember Georgie and Josh, the number one thing they always said was, I want to have fun. And to your credit, you were able to have fun, do all that, and achieve the rank of Eagle. So congratulations. That's my minute. You don't have to.
Thank you.